to, given the community's proximity to the military testing site. This is particularly disturbing when, according to the data from Puerto Rico Department of Health, the people of Vieques have 25% higher infant mortality rate, 30% higher rate of cancer, 381% higher rate of hypertension, 95% higher rate of cirrhosis of the liver, and 41% higher rate of diabetes than those on the main island of Puerto Rico. Notwithstanding, the Navy denies any culpability and refuses to alleviate the suffering it has caused. According to the mayor of Vieques, who I spoke to yesterday as part of my preparation for this hearing, the health situation has shown no signs of improvement despite the Navy's departure. You see, the hospital in Vieques is a mess, if you can call it a hospital. It's simply not adequate to address the needs of the residents of Vieques. The situation is aggravated since the island residents are forced to travel to the mainland of Puerto Rico for treatment. So let me give you an idea what this means for an individual who has to endure this on a regular basis. My grandmother has to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning to go to the doctor. She's 86 years old, just for a routine medical exam. And no matter what time the appointment is during the day, she has to wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning. You see, she has to take a ferry, which is an hour-and-a-half trip, because it's $2. If she can't afford the plane, which is either $28 if she's going to Fajardo, or $40, $50 to go to San Juan. She then has to spend on public transportation to and from the doctor. So she's back by 7 or 8 p.m. This is an 86-year-old woman who lives alone, who can't afford to take the plane every single time she goes to the doctor, and has to endure hours of travel just to see a doctor. This would be unacceptable to your grandmothers and to anyone here in the United States of America. Why should it be acceptable in Vieques? And since we're talking about health issues, this brings me to the recent U.S. Department of Justice action seeking the immediate dismissal of a lawsuit presented by more than 7,000 residents of Vieques on sovereign immunity grounds. My grandmother is one of those 7,000 residents. This is mind-boggling, to say the least. In modern society, governments have to be responsible for the wrongs they cause and should not use archaic historical concepts to avoid responsibility. So, having said all this, I believe that the Obama administration has the opportunity to do the right thing for a people who have endured enough to ensure the security of the United States of America and defend the principles of democracy and fair play that are part of its foundation. Let's talk about what needs to be done. If the administration is serious about its intention to address the Vieques crisis, the following must be addressed immediately. 1. Affirmatively address the losses and ongoing medical needs of the U.S. citizens on Vieques resulting from the U.S. Navy's long bombardment and contamination of the island, and establish any facilities necessary to provide for the care of the people of Vieques, and study the long-term effects of contamination on civilian communities. Number 2, the U.S. Department's justice strategy to use sovereign immunity is not promoting justice and is contrary to promises made by Barack Obama on February 12, 2008, where he states, "My administration will actively work with the Department of Defense as well to achieve an environmentally acceptable cleanup of the former U.S. Navy land of Vieques, Puerto Rico. We will closely monitor the health of people of Vieques and promote appropriate remedies to health conditions caused by the military activities conducted by the U.S. Navy on Vieques." Signed, Barack Obama. Based on conversations with legal scholars, it is my understanding that the Obama administration has the power to settle these claims immediately. The White House should direct the Department of Justice to negotiate a settlement of the individual claims and instruct the Secretary of the Navy to settle the municipality of Vieques claims as well. No matter what our take on the health care claims, the people of Vieques, like all U.S. citizens, deserve their day in court. Number 3, the administration must help construct the local economy by funneling resources for investment in micro-enterprises, such as the micro-enterprise incubator spearheaded by local Viequense Nilda Medina. Also, the administration can and should bring green jobs opportunities and provide incentives for investment in local businesses. Number 4, help homeowners retain their homes and facilitate credit and promote the development of affordable housing, including co-ops, so that Viequenses with low income, which is the majority of the population, can afford to live there. 5, clean the mess. Just as there is pain about what is happening in New Orleans, contamination caused by the oil spills, the Viequenses are also suffering with the contamination caused by the U.S. Navy. There must be complete and equitable environmental remediation immediately. And finally, throughout this process, it is imperative that the administration take into serious consideration the input and feedback from the local Viequense community. I'm here on behalf of my grandmother, so you can count that for one. But finally, I just want to say that I was the only Latina in Boston to be a delegate for Obama in 2008 and got the most amount of votes in my district because I bused a whole bunch of old people to the hall and fed them. I worked hard for this because I believed in Obama's promise. And I believe in that in crucial times he would do the right thing, even if it was unpopular. That's what he said, so this is the time. This is the time to do right by Vieques and the Viequense people. Thank you for your time, and I look forward to responding to your questions.
Thank you very much. We'll now shift to Lirio Marquez, who is the Executive Director of the Vieques Conservation Historical Trust.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen of the panel. Thank you for inviting me here to speak before you. I am the Executive Director of the Vieques Conservation and Historical Trust. It's a 25-year-old organization dedicated to educating the community and visitors and to protecting Vieques' historical and environmental resources. I have also been a member of the Restoration Advisory Board and Technical Review Committee for the cleanup process since it began in 2001. Since both Ms. Enck and Ms. Negretti have already given a background and given the time constraints, I'd rather move on to the future. Vieques' tragical reality is framed in a wonderful paradisiac environment. Vieques has what is probably known as the world's most pristine bioluminescent bay. It's an ecological resource of world-class importance. Vieques also has abundant coral reef colonies, large seagrass beds, well-preserved coastal dwarf dry forest habitats, and beautiful sandy beaches. The island also possesses many sites of archaeological or historical importance. Vieques also has plenty of sun, wind, people, and recyclable materials. I have grouped these apparently dissimilar things together because they could all support economic development in the island. Economic development that makes wise use of the island's most outstanding resources and one of its growing problems, which is solid waste. Because of Vieques' size and natural characteristics, projects should be of an appropriate scale, small and medium-sized, financed by low-interest loans, not large, sprawling, land-grabbing, resource-consuming projects. Ms. Enck spoke about tourism. The island could become the area's demonstrative project in sustainable tourism, providing a diversity of jobs and income-producing opportunities for the local population. Small and medium-sized hotels and guest houses, tourism-related services, shops, transportation, all of these could be developed by Viequenses.
We've been really focusing on looking towards the future and what kind of training we can provide that will match
cultural,
what these other departments are doing in terms of the ability to attract investment, so that we're training the workforce for the future in areas like green jobs,
all over the island.
For health care, allied health,
landmarks,
etc.
We
toured along with everyone and received a lot of really interesting information from regional municipalities and municipalities, specifically around their interests, because we need to hear from you what you think, where the island can go and what kind of investments can be made and how we can also better leverage our resources as we move forward. So everything from infrastructure we heard, and as well as issues like tourism and ecotourism.
For the creation of historical tourism in the island. They could also provide a wonderful opportunity for education in restoration and conservation techniques, similar to what the National Park Service has done with the restoration of World Heritage Sites in Old San Juan, partnering with local universities. Regarding science and education, Puerto Mosquito Bioluminescent Bay is a unique ecological site. Local residents, community organizations, Puerto Rican legislators, the municipal authority, scientists, including all of the experts who participated in the Symposium on Bioluminescence held last year by the Trust, agree that the U.S. government should petition that this natural wonder be declared a UNESCO Biosphere Reserve. We respectfully present the same request to this panel. Vieques' ecological resources can provide much needed information to scientists, decision makers, and students from all over the world on issues as diverse as global warming, sea level rise, bioluminescence and its uses in medicine and electronics, tropical and subtropical ecology, fish farming, and coral reef restoration, among others. A well-equipped environmental education and research center could become an important resource for students and researchers from the Caribbean Basin, and for scientists from all over the world. It would also provide interesting, important jobs for local people. As assistance in research, it could also provide education for local people